Queer spirituality. That may sound like an unusual term. And you may wonder, is there something real here, or is this just political correctness, or what's this really about? Today I want to talk about queer spirituality, and as I do, I want to invite you to subscribe to this channel and click the bell so you're notified of future videos. The Oxford English Dictionary defines the word queer as something out of the ordinary or something outside of the norm. And I think that's really important for us to understand. Today, the word queer is used in an umbrella term, and it refers to people who find themselves outside of the norm when it comes to sexual orientation or gender identity. So that people who are lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, people who are asexual or other things may use the word queer to define themselves. It's the umbrella term for all those various categories. And it's important to understand that people come to realize that this is a constituent part of who they are, that it's part of the core of their identity, and that that identity is outside of what's considered the norm of society and probably what's outside of the norm of their family life. There are messages in society that say that you should only be male or female, and that you should be heterosexual and live life by a heterosexual norm. So the queer people are those who are outside of that. Why is that important? You see, for someone to affirm themselves, to say, yes, I am queer, and that this is who I know myself to be, they've had to go through some process of trying to sort out, do I fit the norm? Don't I? What about me is right here? Is this who I truly am? And they come to understand themselves. We come to understand ourselves as people unique and living life in a different way in a society and culture that pulls us to be different from who we are. This has implications for every aspect of a person's life, and that includes spirituality. So today I want to talk about 3 aspects of queer spirituality that are relevant for everyone, not just queer people. The first is that queer people understand that religion and spirituality have been the source of prejudice and hatred and bigotry towards people like us. Whether we've been hurt directly or not, we know that many people have been hurt and hurt badly. Therefore, when approaching religion and spirituality, there's a lot of skepticism. There's questioning. There's wanting to make sure that someone is authentic and true, and trying to sniff out where hypocrisy might be, to push through what's presented as dogmatic and that must be right, to understand where is something that's valid here, and is there something that's valid that can be good for me? And that's really important, that something needs to be good for me, that spirituality or religion has to somehow enhance my life. And that's the second aspect, that queer people embrace spirituality in ways that are meant to be healing and bring wholeness and really try to help develop the individual more, to be affirming of their life. And that's really critical, because the spiritual dimension of life really should be leading us to wholeness. So that when queer people adopt a spiritual path or join a group, they're doing it precisely because they're seeking out that wholeness and believe it can be found in that place or in that practice or in that tradition or whatever it may be. And that's going to be true whether this is part of organized religion or part of an individualized, personally developed spiritual path. The person is really looking for a way for their own growth and development to happen, using spirituality and spiritual practice and belief as part of the vehicle. And thirdly, when that begins to happen, the third aspect is there's a certain peace, a certain happiness, a certain contentment that takes over. And there may be a playfulness about the spiritual path, not because it's necessarily accepted as somehow objectively true and my way is right and everyone else is wrong, but because it's life-giving, because it's fulfilling, because it brings something positive in life. These things are really critical for all of us. It's not that queer people do meditation differently or engage in different spiritual practices. That's not the case. Instead, it's because of being outside the norm that queer people are more likely to question and push boundaries, to see that something can be real and true and it's authentic. And that from that, they begin to find ways to incorporate spirituality that bring wholeness and hope and well-being, and celebrate that. So consider what that means for your spiritual life and development, whether you consider yourself to be queer or not, because I think those are very important lessons for us all. Be sure to subscribe to this channel, like the video, share it with others, leave me some comments, and know that I appreciate the time you spend with Spirituality Beyond Borders. Have a great day.